Hey guys, welcome back. We're going to be talking about two films I've watched recently. One is Hansel and Gretel, no, Gretel and Hansel, I'll have to get that name right, and the other is Haunt. So, we'll talk about Gretel and Hansel first. Gretel and Hansel is a 2020 film directed by Oz Perkins and stars Sophia Lillis from the It remake and Alice Cringe. I know her mainly from the Stephen King Sleepwalkers film, and she's more commonly known probably as the Borg Queen from Star Trek. I'd say that the makeup on the set was probably pretty good considering I didn't recognise her at first, or life hasn't been very kind to her recently and she looks like a witch now. I don't know which is true. The film's based on the fairy tale with a similar name, but you'd be pretty foolish to think that the title hadn't been reversed for no apparent reason. My main thought with that is that Gretel seems to be the protagonist in this film. It's kind of like a coming of age film, so it's more that her brother is more of a supporting role, for want of a better word. It's kind of like your typical annoying sibling that's just, well, to be fair, I don't know, is he annoying? Yeah, I guess he is a little bit. It could also be that there's a similar film, not a similar film, but there's a film already called Hansel and Gretel out that was fairly popular. I want to say it was fairly popular. I feel like I've heard of it, so that would make it fairly popular. So the film follows, as you would imagine, two children that have been left homeless by their mother after Gretel failed to secure a cleaning job for a employer that's questionable, for want of a better word. There is more of a backstory to that than it shows you in the film. Probably best that you watch it to find out for yourself. Whilst in the wilderness, the two children happen upon a house that has an unusual abundance of food. There's no particular reason for why there would be so much different types of food in this house. I'm guessing that Asda and Tesco don't deliver to that area. Obviously, because they're hungry, they decide they want to go into the house. They kind of break and enter, I guess. Although there isn't so much breaking as there is just entering, really, but anyway, that's beside the point. They are eventually taken in by the woman that lives there, and I'm guessing they haven't heard about the gingerbread house fairy tale since they are the fairy tale. So from a visual point of view, these shots are beautiful and haunting, though I feel because the film isn't hand-fed to you, that some of it can be lost in translation. You may not understand the whole storyline, although maybe it is more simplistic than I'm imagining, and it could actually be more straightforward than I think it is. It's difficult to really call this a horror film, as there's horror elements, but it doesn't commit to being horrific like I feel like it could have been. Having said that, Sophia and Alice's performances are first class. The ending I felt was slightly confusing and lackluster. The directors described this as a coming-of-age story, but I feel like it could have made a bit more sense. The film's definitely watchable, considering there's only 3 main characters in it, but expect eerie visuals and creepy subtleties more than full-on children devouring witchy gore. So the next film is Haunt. Haunt is a 2019 horror film directed by Scott Beck and Brian Woods. It follows a group of friends on Halloween night looking for the ultimate haunted house experience. It's like a haunted house experience. I think it's called something else, but it's kind of like an escape room type of situation where you walk through a haunted house, and people are able to, in the extreme haunted houses, people are able to interact with you more, which is a nightmare in itself for me, really. I don't like the idea of people touching me, so that's definitely a no-go. So on finding the one that they think is perfect, they initially think the owners are just dedicated to making the experience as realistic as possible, but they soon learn that the horror is all too real. The fact that Eli Roth is a producer on this film, along with 5 others, should give you an indication of what to expect from this movie. The film's marketed as a slasher horror, which I totally agree with. It definitely gives the right tension to gore ratio. There's a nice couple of plot twists, but nothing mind-blowing. I think essentially the film was created to give you a kind of Halloween scare, which it does really well, to be fair. The film moves along quite quickly, so there's not much chance for character development. There's not much room for character development, and you don't particularly feel much empathy for the group in the end. There is a slight attempt at an abusive relationship storyline, but I think that's mainly to give the lead character a bit more depth. There's no real explanation as to why the owners of this haunted house are doing this, essentially, or who they are. I mean, there's kind of an explanation, but not really one that I would have hoped for. Then again, I know a lot of people do prefer horror films where the main bad guy doesn't really explain why they're doing it. They kind of think it's scarier that way. Some people seem to find it more terrifying when there's no reason behind it. So if you're looking for a film that you're hoping will give you a bit of a fright, but won't particularly keep you awake after you've watched it, I definitely recommend this film. So those are the 2 films that I've watched recently. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, if you've watched these, if you thought they were any good, and I will speak to you in my next video.